Okay, people, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Santa's coming to town.
Santa! Oh my God!
Well, jingle my bells and call me Cindy Lou. It's Christmas week.
I do like that you don't tell me what you're going to say beforehand, because I get
Yeah.
such a shock.
There's this little pause.
Yeah, I like it.
I have to say, though, Christmas week is not my strong point, so I'm going to hand over the reins to you. Haha, the reins. Ho,
Yes.
ho, ho.
This is my time of year. I've done no preparation for Christmas because I was already doing preparation for it without even having to try. You've done proper homework.
I had to. You made me.
Yes, I did. It was a stipulation. You had to do it.
Mm-hmm. You're obsessed. I was coerced.
I'm not obsessed. I'm just keen.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yes, that's what we're calling it. Keen.
Fair enough.
So we're going to start this episode by talking about the trailers that we didn't get round to last week.
Yes, as promised.
So we've got 4 trailers to discuss today. No Time to Die, Mulan, Ghostbusters and Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes.
We'll start with Bond, Matt, because that's your favourite.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming, really. There's been a lot of ups and downs with this. And it's the last of Daniel Craig's films.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, trailer-wise, it looks like he's going to go out with a bang.
You would hope.
Yeah.
Definitely hope.
This looks like it's a stunt-heavy film, from what we can see.
I think they're still trying to top that first scene.
From Casino Royale.
Yeah, I still
Yeah.
think they're trying to top that.
This one seems to be interesting. There's like a two-pronged villain approach here, because they've got Blofeld, who was prevalent in the last one, Spectre, and then there's Rami Malek as a new sort of Russian technology person.
I'm looking forward to seeing his villain. I think he could probably do something quite interesting with it. He's not your run-of-the-mill, but I think he could do something quite interesting. But I have to admit, I was a little bit confused by the trailer.
Yeah.
I couldn't really tell what was going on.
The recent Bond films have been quite long, actually, and that allows them to tell a story that spans lots of different locations, and I guess in this one, different villains. It is a bit like Silence of the Lambs. You've kind of got your Hannibal Lecter Blofeld character, who's behind bars, and then you've got your out in the field villain, which is your Buffalo Bill or your Rami Malek.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting.
I'll probably see it, but I haven't seen Spectre yet, so I'll have to catch up with that one first.
Yeah.
So Mulan then.
Yes.
I am not happy.
No, I didn't think you would be.
No, I'm not happy at all. It's not Mulan. There's no Mushu. There's no love interest. There's no songs. That's not Mulan. That's like some kind of really serious, real life action version of Mulan, and I'm not sure I'm all there for that.
But when you say it's not Mulan, the animated film Mulan isn't by any means the original story, is it?
It's become so. You can't have Mulan without Eddie Murphy as a talking dragon. You just can't. Doesn't work.
Would it have worked though?
Probably not. I can see where they're going with it and what they're trying to do with it. And you can see what they're trying to do, but there's that shadow of the original there. There's always that, oh, well, it's supposed to be this. And that's very hard to ignore.
Yeah, I agree with you to an extent. It will be overshadowed by the original, but I'm appreciating that it's being brave in that it's not trying to stick to exactly what happened. In a way, it's avoiding maybe the mistakes that The Lion King made. It's kind of gone, no, you know what? It's meant to look realistic, so we're not going to have people bursting out into song. We're not going to have talking animals. We are going to reground it. And I think that's what you kind of wanted from The Lion King. I don't remember there was a witch in this one.
Yes, that is the one thing that I like.
See, I hated that.
I liked the addition. I think having another female character, because there really aren't many, I think that's quite interesting. So that was the one bit I thought, oh, I like that addition.
Oh yeah, having another female character, yeah, but I was watching it and I was thinking, okay, oh great, yeah, they've stripped it back. It's very realistic now. But then all of a sudden there was a witch, and I went, don't do this to me, Disney. And I like the addition of the soundtrack.
That bit really worked. I liked that. It was very powerful, and I did like that.
Strong nod to the animated film.
Yes. Right, so the next one, Ghostbusters Afterlife. I am very excited for this, actually. I watched this for the first time this morning. It didn't overdo it. There was just enough, and it really looks like there's quality there, I think. So I'm quite looking forward to this.
This seems to be how to do a remake or a reboot or a sequel well.
Yes.
Because just enough of a tie-in. It's not a carbon copy of the original by the looks of it.
Yeah.
They're going to have the original cast in there.
Yeah.
They don't seem to be the focus, which I think is also a good element.
Yeah, they're pulling in all the best parts so that you can tie it in, but it looks like it's got enough of its own story. So I'm very excited about this. It looked great. It had a really retro feel to it.
Yeah. See, I can take or leave the originals, really, if I'm being honest with you. And actually, this one looks a little bit better. A little bit like when Blade Runner 2049 came out. Again, I could take or leave the original. I really enjoyed the sequel.
Yeah, I didn't see the sequel because I hated the original.
Now you see, you've missed out there.
To give it a go, won't I?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, well. Okay, so we'll move on to the last trailer then, which was Wonder Woman 1984. Again, same thing for me. I think the quality that you saw in this trailer, I thought it looked really good. It had a different tone, yet a similar one, if you know what I mean. It was very different. Obviously, you've gone from the First World War and that setting to the 80s, and you couldn't get more different if you tried. But there's still a feel there, and obviously that comes from Patty Jenkins, who's come back. What I was very interested to see, though, is they did not show the villain. I think that's a brilliant idea. I'm quite pleased about that because they've not given it away.
I imagine that will come later. I don't think it'll be a spoiler in the film. I don't think they'd keep it that secret for long. It'd be good if they did. Personally, I'm a bit lost. I don't know how she got to the 80s. Tell me if I'm being stupid. I don't remember.
She doesn't age the same, does she? Because she's from like a god kind of place, isn't she? So she doesn't age the same.
I did struggle with the logic of the first one. I didn't get it. Quite good action scenes, actually. But if you were to sit through the film, even the trailers, and count the number of times she does the crouch down spinny kick move to trip people up, I just got really bored of it. I saw a lot of spinning kicks in this trailer as well, and I thought, oh god, she's back at it. Can't get her off that floor.
Maybe that's her move, you know.
Yeah. No more spinning kicks, please.
Okay, so that's the trailers for this week. So, Matt, how did you get on preparing for Christmas week?
I watched a few Christmas films, some that I haven't seen before. Well, most that I haven't seen before. I watched 6.
Yeah, fair few.
I was fine watching them. You know, they've been on the list since forever, and you know, and Die Hard was on the list too, which has obviously been on the list. And I said I'd get it done, and I have.
Well done. That's a tick off the list. Did you enjoy yourself watching the film?
Well, it's obviously been an easy ride compared to say Scorsese week.
Yeah, very different. Very, very different.
It was easy.
But was it fun? Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah.
I think that's the best we're going to get. Okay, well, I'm going to test you now. We're going to do our Christmas quiz.
Ooh, ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho. So, I've got 5 questions for you.
Okay.
And I think you're going to do okay. I will give you the 5 questions and then we'll go through the answers when we're done.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So my first question for you, Matt, is how many times has A Christmas Carol been adapted for film and television? Is it 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, or 50 plus?
Ooh. Film and television.
Yes.
All adaptations. This is going to be quite a lot. I'm going to say, although I think I'm wrong, 40 to 50.
Okay, I will tell you your answer at the end.
Okay.
Your next question. Which film first featured the classic Christmas tune, White Christmas?
White Christmas.
Is White Christmas your answer?
Well, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Oh, God, it better be.
So White Christmas is your answer. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that one. Who has appeared in the most Christmas films? Tim Allen, Catherine O'Hara, or Jim Broadbent?
Oh. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna say Catherine O'Hara. If I'm being honest, I can't picture who that is at the moment.
All right, okay. We'll come back to it.
Okay.
Question 4. An actor appears in the film Elf who had his own classic Christmas movie he starred in as a child. What was that movie?
Oh, I don't suppose it's the older man, is it? The dad?
I can't tell you.
James Caan. James Caan.
I will give you a clue.
Yeah.
It was one of the elves.
Or maybe it's that older elf as a child. Oh, he's not the one with like the glasses. I don't know. A Christmas Story.
Okay, we'll take that one. Last question. Where does How the Grinch Stole Christmas take place?
Inside a snowflake, like the one on your sleeve.
Okay.
There happens a story you must see to believe. And it's Whoville. Whoville and the adjoining Mount Crumpet.
Okay, right. You got exceedingly more impressive as you went on.
Okay.
We'll put it that way.
Right.
So, how many times has A Christmas Carol been adapted for film and television?
50 plus, isn't it?
It is 50 plus, yeah. There are currently 21 film versions of A Christmas Carol, with 2 more planned yet to have a release date, which means there's another, I don't know,
lots,
30 odd TV adaptations. So there's a lot, yeah. So you were close. The second question was, which film first featured the classic Christmas tune, White Christmas? You said White Christmas.
Is it not that? Is that just stupid?
Unfortunately, that's not correct.
Oh.
It was sang by Bing Crosby in the Holiday Inn film, which came out in the same year, 1942. So that's the first time it featured on film. And the song, funnily enough, sung by Bing Crosby, is the world's best-selling single. So it's pretty famous, that one. You then went on to say that the person who appeared in the most Christmas films, out of Tim Allen, Catherine O'Hara, and Jim Broadbent, was Catherine O'Hara. You were correct.
Oh, thank God. Who is she?
Catherine O'Hara played the mother in Home Alone. So she was in the first 2 Home Alone movies.
Ah, right.
She is the voice of Sally in A Nightmare Before Christmas, and she was also in a film called Surviving Christmas.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. You then said an actor appears in the film Elf, who had his own classic Christmas movie. He starred as a child. And you were actually correct. It's Peter Billingsley, who was in A Christmas Story.
Is that the little boy with the glasses?
It is.
That was a good guess.
Yeah, very well done. I was very impressed with that one, because I didn't think you were going to get it. And then the last question was, where does How the Grinch Stole Christmas take place? You were correct on all levels and could actually repeat the line as well. It was Inside a Snowflake.
I am actually Anthony Hopkins.
I am extremely impressed with that, because I did not think you were going to get it right to that degree. So 3 out of 5.
I think I turned it around.
You did.
A Christmas miracle.
I was a little bit unsure at first, but you did turn it around.
Yay.
So well done, you.
Go me.
Okay, so we're going to get right into the Christmas movies now.
Yes.
So, how do you feel about Christmas movies, Matt? I know you've said they're not really your thing.
There's nothing wrong with them. There's 2 points here, I think. One is a point that we've talked about before. Sometimes if you don't grow up with a certain film or a certain collection of films, as an adult, you don't feel like you're in that crew.
Yes.
I suppose.
I absolutely agree with you there. It really does make a difference. And
it just so happens that a lot of the ones that people are mad about are the ones I was not necessarily into. And that includes Home Alone.
Oh, God.
Elf.
Oh.
And other ones. I watched Jingle All the Way. So that one.
Jingle All the Way is very good.
And Jack Frost, do you remember that one? Michael Keaton. Terrifying.
Love that one. Makes me cry every time.
Yeah.
So, you watched Die Hard.
Yes.
So now you can join in the biggest film debate going.
And you all know that my verdict is the definitive.
Oh, of course.
You do know that.
Absolutely. So, Matt, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Well, where do you start with this? I've been quite philosophical in my approach here. I've been conjecturing with myself. It made me think. We say Christmas film. What is that?
Yes.
What counts? Is it a film that's set at Christmas time? Is it a film that's about Christmas? Is it a film that you just so happen to watch at Christmas?
Like The Wizard of Oz?
Like The Wizard of Oz, yeah. It's not Christmassy at all, but you make that excuse to watch it at Christmas.
Yeah.
Or is it a film that makes you feel Christmassy?
Mm.
And I'm not ruling out the idea that you can have a hybrid option. Obviously, this is an action film.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to hear what you think before I give my...
So I'm very much on the fence, really, because I watch it every year. It's the first film I always watch to open up my Christmas calendar. But that's really because I don't really consider it very much of a Christmas film. Yes, it's set at Christmas and it ends with Let It Snow playing and all that kind of thing. But I just don't really count it as a Christmas film for the most part.
I was surprised from the beginning, actually. I was like, oh, Christmas music.
Mm.
And then it went on, and I was like, oh, a Christmas party.
Yeah.
And I was actually quite surprised, and they did keep it up to an extent, but then it gets to a point where it's like, actually, no, the terrorist story now has to take front and centre.
Yeah.
If it is a Christmas film,
Yeah, it's on the lower tier.
that's it, exactly. But ultimately, I resolved to saying, if Die Hard makes you feel Christmassy, then it's a Christmas film.
Very, very philosophical answer. Yes. Well done. I'm quite happy with that.
That's all I came up with, but it made me realise that there's a reason that there's a debate going on.
Mm,
And
absolutely.
that's because there is a disagreement, or just in general a bit of an ambiguity about what is a Christmas film.
I think that's a very good answer. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to ask you. I know you haven't seen a lot of them, but you have seen probably the most well-known classic oldie,
Yeah.
and that's It's a Wonderful Life.
Uh,
And you don't like it at all, do you?
no.
I was so upset by that.
I think it's just the most depressing pile of Christmas crud.
I just think that's so funny.
That's a film that doesn't make me feel Christmassy. It doesn't remind me of Christmas.
No, that's
I don't
true.
watch it at Christmas. I don't really get it.
Mm.
And I don't really remember it either. Now we're talking about it, but I remember it not being memorable.
Yeah, it's funny because it's not really very Christmassy until the very end, like the last message of it. However, if you were going to talk about films to watch at Christmas, that is right up there on the list to watch, like right before Christmas. You would watch it like in the week of Christmas.
Yeah, if you were going to watch it, you'd watch it then.
Over time, that it's just become this great Christmas movie.
God knows why.
Now, you haven't seen White Christmas yet.
No, I didn't get around to that one.
That's worth a watch. I'd be very interested to see what you think of that one.
I read what it was about, and it did intrigue me. It wasn't about necessarily what I was expecting it to be about, so I am interested by that.
Yeah, it's not. It's not one about Christmas.
Mm.
It just features Christmas quite a bit in it.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for you, Matt.
Okay.
What makes a Christmas film a classic?
I would really like to know.
I think time is one thing.
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak for It's a Wonderful Life because I think it's awful. I don't really know. Passed down through generations, maybe, as well.
I think so. I think that's probably a big thing to do with it.
Mm.
I mean, if it's something that your parents loved and they introduce it to you, and
Yeah.
Again, it's like you said, if it's things that you watched as a child are quite special.
Mm.
They take on this other element that it can't be manufactured at all. It's just something that happens. It's the time that takes to build a classic.
Yeah.
With that in mind, what would you consider to be the most recent film to join the Christmas canon, shall we say, of must-watch movies?
A Christmas Prince. No, I'm joking. Some people might think so.
Well, maybe, yeah.
I think in general, a genre like Christmas films struggle, especially when they're newer, to sort of join a canon like this.
It's very hard to make a good one that lasts.
The meaning of Christmas has sort of changed a lot.
Yeah.
The traditions, not saying they've died out, but, rewrapped as a consumer event. And
yeah, they're trying to get back to the traditions. That's what they're trying to achieve.
I think so, yeah. The two I can think of really is The Grinch, but probably more so Elf is the one that resonates with a lot of people by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I think The Grinch is a big one though. It's so quotable.
Yeah.
And it's such a laugh. It kind of balls to the wall, funny. It's so much fun to watch.
I think you mean Baubles to the Wall.
Oh, Baubles, sorry, my mistake.
Thank you. Stay professional.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Unbelievable. The thing is with The Grinch is that you're not just getting the story or anything like that. You're getting Jim Carrey as well.
Oh God.
He's the equivalent of Robin Williams' Genie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
You just watch him wreak havoc.
Nobody will do a version of that, anything like it.
No, you can't redo it the same.
That performance was just out on its own.
Yeah.
Do you know what I really have started to enjoy, probably more now that I'm an adult than when I was younger, is the animated Christmas movies.
Okay.
I love The Snowman, always have.
Well, I watched that this morning for the first time.
Yeah, go on then. Well, tell me what you thought.
Actually, you know what? It's unique, I guess. It's a short film.
Yeah.
And it's based off the book by Raymond Briggs.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And the style of it alone is quite interesting because it is like you're watching the illustrations of a book.
Yeah, it's on its own in that sense.
It's almost like it's a little bit abstract as well, the way it's been done. It's not as naturalistic as you'd expect. It's got a bit of a surreal element to it.
Mm-hmm.
Story-wise,
very thin.
Thin and confusing.
Confusing? Why confusing?
Well, they're going around the house, aren't they? They're going around the house and they're causing mischief.
Well, I mean, he's a snowman. He's never seen these things before, so he's exploring.
Parents have obviously taken a bit too much Rohypnol because they're not waking up. And I found it a bit creepy. You know what? I think that's what it is. It was an adult figure with no fingers leading this boy around.
To meet Santa.
But that was never discussed. At one moment, he just sets off running after he's just run amok on a motorcycle. And then they just sort of take off. This boy's clinging on by a bit of, cold water, essentially. And then flies him to God knows where.
The North Pole, obviously.
And there's all these other snowmen. It's like a cult, and they're dancing, and there's probably a Wicker Man for all I know.
I think you might have read a little bit too much into this.
There's too many pedo snowmen around.
What I like about it is not only the style, because I love the way it looks, and the music, the score's fantastic.
I'll give you that.
It is really, really lovely.
And not even so much the full song that they get into.
Yeah, the actual score, yeah.
Love that.
It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But I kind of like that it doesn't end on a happy note.
Oh, it's weird, isn't it? It ends very quickly as well.
Yeah, it gets so dark. I've had this lovely time with the snowman. It's magical. And the snowman dies, essentially, at the end.
We don't even know how, because the rest of the snow was still there.
I know. Maybe he only got one night. Maybe that was it. Have you seen The Snowman and the Snow Dog then?
No.
That's what they're bringing out now. Most of the things that you see, it's the snowman and the snow dog you see now.
Yeah,
like the toilet paper that you see, it's the snowman and the oh yes, I've got snowman and the snow dog toilet paper.
I'm not putting that snowman anywhere near my private areas. Do not trust him.
Okay, I'm gonna move up to a different animated one because I think this might make you upset talking about the snowman any longer. Yes. So, you watched the Polar Express, didn't you?
I did actually, yeah.
Okay, I want to hear your thoughts for this one because obviously this is very modern. What did you think of this one?
Poor children. Virtually kidnapped. Nightmarish scenario. This bipolar conductor who's like, don't lose your ticket or else you'll die. Basically kidnaps them.
It's a choice. They are choosing to go to the North Pole.
He manipulates them. Tricks you into it, Well, in essence, he wakes them up deliberately. It's child abuse.
On a nicer, more Christmassy level.
Oh yes.
What did you think of it in that sense?
Well, it takes a long time with that one to sort of understand where it's heading.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happens in, on, under, and around the train.
Called the Polar Express.
It is, but there was never a sense of really where they were going. They said they're going to the North Pole, but like in the Golden Compass and His Dark Materials and that kind of thing, when kids go that direction, not good things happen. So, it's very vague and it is a little bit nightmarish. There's some characters in there like you don't trust at all and they do seem genuinely quite evil.
Yeah, it's got a little dark point to it, like the tramp on the top of the train and The little the thing that always kind of freaks me out is that little Scrooge puppet when he's going through that carriage of old toys.
Yeah, no.
There's a few little dark
It
points in
it's
there.
it is nightmarish, and I think the message is the journey to Christmas isn't always smooth. And the animation was actually really good,
Hmm.
but unique in the sense that it hadn't copied exactly what other films had done. Have you heard about this uncanny valley thing they talk about? Have
Yes.
you heard about this?
Yeah.
Where something looks real, but there's an element that sort of tricks you back out of it.
Yeah.
Tiny fragments of the animation that aren't quite right. You go from thinking, "Oh, this is really realistic," and then you
Mhm.
go, "Ugh,"
Yeah.
and then you realise it's kind of not. So that was a bit creepy. Some of the kids were a bit scary.
So did you enjoy the Polar Express then?
Yeah, I did rather actually, yeah. Nightmare aside, it was,
It's a nice film. Yeah.
and at the end you kinda click, don't you? You kinda go,
Yeah,
"Ah,
yeah, yeah.
I see," and it did make you kind of feel that as an adult there was an access point there.
Yeah.
It kind of flips the story about children on its head, and actually it's about what happens after you're a child, so yeah.
Mhm.
No, I quite like that. Tom Hanks is pretty good, he plays a lot of characters.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna move on to probably what's your favourite bit, is the films that aren't really I suppose the cozy ones. They're not really Christmassy because they've got other story points in them. And
Mm.
I'm talking about Love Actually and The Holiday.
Yay.
I know
Yay.
these are your personal favourites,
Mhm.
so go to town, Matt. Why do you like these films?
These ones are about people and not necessarily about Christmas.
Okay, that's your point of entry then. It's not
Yeah.
something that is completely around the subject of Christmas. It just takes place maybe at Christmas.
Mm.
There's some Christmassy things in it, but it's about the story.
But they're not obviously, but they're about real people,
Mm,
and the characters themselves aren't perfect. A film like Love Actually
mm.
isn't just a film about everything going right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
These are more sort of films for the realist.
Yeah.
Obviously, Love Actually has about 10 different stories
Yeah.
where people are either looking for and finding love, or they're failing to find or falling out of love as well. So I think it's a
Yeah.
much more rounded outlook on Christmas, because it's not necessarily just about happiness and joy and believing. I found a lot of the other films were about, oh, you have to believe, and this one's more about, no, at the end of the day, we're here on this earth, and it's about connections with other people and with each other. And that's what Christmas is about.
Yeah, but it's got that same feeling that it ends with that a lot of Christmas films do, which I think is why it's joined that canon.
Mm. It's meant to make you feel good,
Yeah,
ultimately.
exactly. But like you say, it has moments in it. I mean, one of my
Mm.
I can't say favorite because
It's devastating.
it's devastating. But Emma Thompson in that scene in the bedroom, oh, it's just it's heartbreaking to watch that. It was so real.
To have that in there, for me, instantly elevates it.
There aren't a lot of adult Christmas movies, really.
No,
Most of them
no.
are very family friendly. You can watch them as a child or an adult and get something from them either way, but there aren't
Mhm.
a lot of purely adult ones.
No.
So tell me about The Holiday.
This one's funny, actually, because it is cheesy, and objectively, it's probably not very good.
I don't know if you know this, but it's one of my favourite movies ever.
Oh, it's one of mine too.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just something about it. It just gives you this carefree kind of, and Jude Law.
I do not, as a rule, find Jude Law attractive, but only in this movie. I
Only in
find
this
him
one.
attractive. In nothing else. Nothing else I've ever seen him in do I think he's attractive, but in this film,
Mm.
I don't know if it's the dad thing with the glasses.
Yeah. There's something about the idea of being spontaneous,
Yeah,
going on a spontaneous trip and accidentally finding someone.
and the music, the score is one of my favourite scores.
Yes, it is
It's
actually.
an
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant Hans Zimmer score. That it's just it's fantastic. I love it,
Yeah.
and it brings all the moments even more to life fabulously.
Oh, I agree.
I tend to watch it early, but I couldn't not watch it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. I need to watch it this year.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna like name a couple of my favorites then. I
Sure.
know you've seen one of them,
Mm.
but I know you haven't seen the other one, and it's the Santa Claus from
Mhm.
1994 with Tim Allen and Miracle on 34th Street, the remake from the 90s. I just absolutely love those movies. There is no Santa Claus like Richard Attenborough. He is the greatest version of Santa Claus that's been put to film.
He just looks like exactly what you'd expect.
He's just fabulous. He's but realistic as well in a sense. He's quite realistic.
Yeah, he does a lot of sitting down.
Yeah, yeah. He's normal, and Santa Claus is it's just clever.
Yeah, I have watched that one this week. I think that with the Santa Claus, you can either view it from the perspective of the child or you can view it from the perspective
Yeah.
of the adult.
So what did you think of it? Because you watched it for the first time, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I did quite like it. It was quite funny. I like the concept. I'm stupid, really. I only clicked like a little bit in. I was like, oh, the Santa Claus is in like a contractual clause. But having never seen the film before, I get that now. I think that's quite clever. I like that.
Tim Allen's just fabulous in it as well. He's great. He's
Yeah.
very funny, but he's got a serious edge to it as well. It's like there's just things that are really good about it. Just they cross the boundaries that you can watch it as a kid, but when you watch it when you get older, they start to develop and you understand different things about it.
Whereas me watching the more children-directed films now
Yes.
goes over my head.
Yeah, you miss the feeling of it having it as a child.
It's like, if parents don't believe in Santa Claus, why are they not really confused when a canoe turns up in their living room?
Yeah. They never go into stuff like that, do they?
I watch the Santa Claus in the same way I watch Knives Out. I was like, well, that doesn't add up. A canoe.
I would really like to see what you think of Miracle on 34th Street as well.
Yeah.
It is more realistic. Yes, obviously there's the Santa aspect of it, and that's obviously magical, but most of it is set around real life, and it's really lovely. Okay, so lastly, I just want to mention what the new films have brought to the table this year. So there's been Klaus, which is the animated Netflix movie. There was Last Christmas with Emilia Clarke, Queen of Dragons. And Noel, which is the new Disney Plus film.
Yeah.
So I know you haven't seen two of them, but you've seen Klaus.
Yeah.
People who've listened know I loved Klaus. What did you think?
Yes, yes, yes to Klaus.
Oh, thank God.
Klaus is the only film that's let me experience the feeling that everyone else gets from watching these other films.
Yeah.
And you know what it is?
What's that?
It's stripping it back, making it plausible.
Yep.
And it's just solid.
The style is gorgeous as well. It's a very Nordic style.
Yeah.
It does have a sense of realism, but I think that is something about the Nordic style. It's very mythical. It's got a really mythical kind of aspect to it. And that in its own way is very magical.
Yeah, really, really unique.
But I love the origin story that they came up with. I just thought that was so clever.
When you said earlier, what's the most recent addition to the classic canon? I was so holding back because I can tell that this one's going to be
one. I hope so. I really hope so. I'll be watching it every year.
I think even I will.
Yeah, do you know, I loved it. I really did.
I'm quite content taking Klaus's interpretation as being the one.
Yeah.
I'm so convinced that that's how it happened.
It has that sense of, oh, I can believe this. You can actually believe that could happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to briefly touch on Last Christmas and Noel because you haven't seen them ones.
No, I wasn't bothered by them.
Last Christmas, I was very much on the fence about. I don't know if I'm going to return to it every year yet. I might give it another go next year and see how I feel. Parts of it didn't work for me. It had that nice feeling at the end, that lovely feeling that you're supposed to get from those films. And Emilia Clarke's fantastic in it. She's just so likable. The character is just likable. You can't help yourself. It's other things about it, the relationship things and some of the story points. I just didn't kind of click with me. Noel, on the other hand, I know I will not revisit.
Yeah.
It was just like cheapy Hallmark.
It looks like
rubbish, really.
Yeah.
And that's not really my kind of cup of tea around Christmas. I don't watch Hallmark movies. I'm a bit of a Christmas snob.
Yeah.
Hallmark movies and things like that don't really work for me.
What is it people get from them? Because we watch them knowing they're awful, but you can't look away.
Yeah, it's because they're so easy to watch. The feelings you get from it as well, they're built around a certain amount of points.
Yeah.
But they're just nice. I think that's what's watchable about them.
Sort of the same formulaic story, so
Yeah.
you kind of you know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to move us on to obviously the most important point, which is our ranking of our top 5 Christmas films. I'm not going to lie, I found this so difficult. I've never found a ranking so hard in my entire life.
The other thing we did was we put out a survey
We did.
this week. The question in the survey says, "What is the best?"
So, Matt, what is your number 5?
It's interesting. I could maybe have swapped this out for something else, but I thought, no, I really enjoyed this when I watched it. So I put National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Oh, I've just watched that this week.
There's something about it. I love films like Airplane.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit slapstick, full of innuendo, things going wrong, a little bit surreal in terms of comedy style.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny, and it's all set in the one house. It's very contained, and it's
Yeah.
how much can go wrong within 4 walls.
Yeah. It's very realistic though, because that is Christmas for a lot of families. You get all of them together and everyone's arguing and fighting and it becomes this battle, and it does have that element that's everyone can go, yep, been there.
Yeah, but a lot of the other films we've talked about today is about things being perfect and things going right.
Yeah.
Is it ever like that? No.
No. I've never been locked in the loft though.
No. I'd be down though. I say I'd be down, I guess I'd be up.
Well, my number 5 is very different. Mine is The Muppet Christmas Carol.
That is good.
It's just, I mean, I can't decide whether to be really serious and say, well, obviously The Christmas Carol.
But it's been done to death though, hasn't it?
But The Muppet Christmas Carol is just so great. They just did it so well. It's just gorgeous. Even the songs in it are just fantastic.
Yeah.
There's lovely melodies to them. They're very heartfelt as well. If you listen to the lyrics, they're lovely songs.
Yeah.
But it's I love it. I do love it.
It's made something that was tired source material, I guess.
Yeah.
Give it a new sort of
It's
twist.
very refreshing.
Yeah.
And Michael Caine's fantastic. He's probably right up there if you're going for something a little bit more surreal, maybe. Very good Scrooge. I do like that. So that's my number 5. What about your number 4 then?
Number 4 dropped down quite a lot. I had 2 locks in this list.
Right.
And over time I kind of went, is it? I've put The Holiday at number 4.
Okay.
We've already talked about it a lot in depth.
We have, yeah.
Cheesy, but it works.
Oh, yeah.
Very cozy. I've got to say, I do prefer the side of the story that's based in the UK with Jude Law and Cameron Diaz.
I prefer Kate Winslet's. I prefer the American part. Though Jack Black's a very odd choice.
He's a bit annoying.
He's a very odd choice for Kate Winslet. I don't see the pairing at all, but that's kind of what I like about it.
Okay.
He's just a lovely guy.
It's the whole Christmas cottage in the countryside, and then Jude Law turns up at the door.
It's like your heaven, isn't it?
It's just like, come on. Whereas the other one was a bit more like she's helping an old man, and that's nice too.
That's very fair enough.
I think it's actually a really good concept as well, the whole idea of the house swapping. I haven't really seen that done.
No, it's good. I like that one. My number 4 is Home Alone. It had to be on the list. It had to be there. It's not Christmas unless you've seen Home Alone.
I don't know.
It's right up there. It's just brilliant. I absolutely love it. Every time I watch it, I just think, I love this film. Macaulay Culkin has never been better. He was so cute. That scene with the aftershave, it's hilarious. And all the wink wink nod nods to the camera, and it's fab. And I always forget every year that the guys breaking in, it's not a big part of the film. There's loads of the film that's on before they even get there, but that's the bit that everybody remembers. They always remember the big traps around the house, and but it's actually quite a small part of it.
Yeah.
I do wonder what the hell that dad does to have a house that big and take 15 odd people to France. What does he do? Is he like...
I would love to find out that it's something really, really sinister, like human trafficking or something.
Yeah, it's like a drug lord. Yeah, because he has got a friggin' massive house. I do love it, and I really like the sequel as well. Lost in New York. It took on even more special status this year because I watched it just after we got back from New York.
Yeah.
So I'd been to some of the places and like seen some of the things. So that was nice. So yes, that's my number 4.
Uh-huh.
So your number 3 then. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is The Grinch, and again, we've talked about it already.
My number 3 is The Grinch as well. I'll
Okay.
put that out there.
We've already really said it, haven't we?
Oh, it's just great. It's like a one-man show, isn't it?
Yeah, take him out of the equation, and it's kind of a bit weird.
Weird.
Yeah.
Very weird.
He just makes it.
Yeah, just do whatever you want to do, and we'll film it.
Yeah.
And he pretty much has that. Looks like what it is. It's a one-man show.
If you're not interested in the message,
Mm.
there's plenty more to gain from it,
Oh
really, isn't
yeah,
there? Just from
absolutely.
watching and enjoying. That's it. I'm not going.
There's so many quotable lines from it. I think that's what's made it part of the classics list, though, because
Yeah,
everybody repeats the lines. It's so funny. It's part of the culture, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2 then. What's your number 2?
Klaus, Klaus, Klaus.
Wow.
My number 2.
I'm impressed.
But there's so many that are oriented around the Santa story.
Yes.
This is the only version really that I feel like I can actually get behind.
Yeah.
As opposed to rooted in magic and believing, it's a much more tangible. It's all about human acts of kindness.
Yeah.
Again, there's a strange resonance, a bit like with Pocahontas. There's a sort of a focus on relying on young people to sort of fix broken communities.
Yeah.
In the week where Greta Thunberg got Time Magazine's Person of the Year,
Yeah.
and obviously we've had the election this week as well. It's weird how it has strange resonances to stuff that's happening now.
Definitely. Definitely.
I love that.
Important themes, but very satisfying as well.
And in terms of this origin of Santa Claus as well, it's very comprehensive in all the things that it hits on. So it's like, why toys? Why chimneys?
Yeah.
Why reindeer? Why at night?
Yeah. It hits all of those.
And each one I'm like, yeah,
I
that's
can
right.
believe that. Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Klaus didn't make my list, funnily enough, considering how much I enjoyed it. But I
Oh.
think that's to do with the time aspect.
Yeah.
Whereas the favourites for me are ones that have been favourites for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
I'd love to have it on the list, and if it was a top 10, it may make the list. But as it's only 5,
Yeah.
I think it needs a few more years, maybe.
Some films I was a bit half and half with. Generally, quality wise, good overall, but there was bits where you're kind of like, you're taken out of it. Klaus is the only one
Yeah, it kept you in it all the way through.
from beginning to end.
Mm.
And didn't make me go at any point, oh, well, no, I didn't believe that. My narrative flow has been disrupted. It never happened. It was spot on.
Well, you won't be happy to hear then that my number 2 is the Santa Claus.
Oh, no, I didn't not enjoy it. It was just,
I think it's the film that I remember watching the most.
okay.
It's the one that is just most memorable. I remember it as part of my childhood more than any of the other ones. It's like hand in hand with my childhood Christmases. So it's so special because of that. It's so funny. It's funny every time, and it's moving where it's supposed to be moving. And I love the score as well in that one. And there's just so many factors to it that are pluses for me.
Fair enough.
It's definitely high up. So, big question. Your number 1 Christmas movie from a person who doesn't really like Christmas. What is your number 1?
I don't mind Christmas. It's all right. I don't think it's a surprise, really. It's actually my number 2 favourite film of all time, anyway. Love Actually is the best Christmas film.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah. Again, kind of said a lot of it earlier. It's about people. It's a spectrum of people. They're not perfect. Some are happy endings, some are unhappy endings, some are kind of left open-ended. It can be a time, as well as joy and sadness, it can be a time for loneliness, sadness, and heartbreak. I love that. Love heartbreak. And although there are genuinely sad moments on the most part, the film approaches the topic in the most British way possible, and that's to laugh at ourselves.
Yeah.
It's the genius writing and directing as well by Richard Curtis.
Absolutely.
If you don't know, Blackadder, Mr. Bean, Vicar of Dibley, Four Weddings, Notting Hill, Bridget Jones, About Time, Yesterday that came out this year.
Yeah.
He's a genius in terms of
British filmmaking.
and comedy, and I think he's probably national treasure status by now if he wasn't
Oh,
already.
must be, yeah.
A lot of people maybe don't know him by name, but they know what he's done.
Yeah, I consider him a national treasure. I think he's fantastic.
And then looking at cast as well, in terms of great British cast.
Oh yeah.
You've got Hugh Grant, Colin Firth, Liam Neeson, Emma Thompson, Keira Knightley.
It's a list of our greatest actors, really, isn't it?
Bill Nye, Rowan Atkinson. This is just off the top of my head, by the way. Even Martine McCutcheon, I think, is brilliant in this.
She is.
Something about it. There's nothing wrong with her, you know. She was great in that yogurt advert. It's just packed. It creates a mosaic, I think, of Christmas.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, you're gonna hate my number one. You know, I know you hate my number one. It's a Wonderful Life.
Is it A Wonderful Life though? Is it, Mary?
I have to explain this one though.
Okay.
It's a Wonderful Life is not my favorite Christmas film. It doesn't hit that favorite status. But when I was thinking about what, obviously from the best Christmas film side of it, I couldn't think of a film that kind of needs to be watched right before Christmas more than this one. It always comes up in other Christmas films. So like it's in Home Alone and you know, you see it like on other Christmas films because it is just a classic. And it's odd really that it's become that way because most of it is not Christmassy whatsoever. It's the message, I think, that has resonated for, what is it, 70, 80 years?
Long time.
It's that does it. And Jimmy Stewart, he is one of my favourite classic Hollywood stars. I love him in anything. Donna Reed as well is really lovely as Mary in this. Name drop there because, you know, I like the films where they've got the same name.
Secret Garden, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, Mary Poppins.
Passion of the Christ.
Haven't seen that one. Haven't even seen There's Something About Mary, which is terrible. My name in the title. Terrible.
Actually, now I think about it, not at all.
But yeah, it's got great. It's again, I think it's quite realistic because you see the parts of it that don't necessarily work, like where he's struggling and he's stressed, and the job that he does is like basically driving him down, and his whole life of what he expected it to be doesn't happen, and you just wish it for him. You wish that they're able to take the trip, and you wish that he's able to get out and all these things, but it's life happens.
Yeah. Well, now you say that, maybe I need to see it again.
There's something about it, and life does drive you down sometimes. It's that last moment. That is the feeling of Christmas. He starts to appreciate the things that he has. He has 4 gorgeous children, a lovely wife. He's got a house. He's got a town that respect him to the point that they've done what they've done.
Yeah.
He's made a difference, and that is the message. Absolutely the Christmas moment. It is a time of year that people
like to give and receive.
Yeah, well, if you want to put it that way, yeah.
Maybe I'll give it another watch. Maybe I'm being unfair.
Try it again.
In the past, I've watched it because I felt obliged to watch it, not because I wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how do you think we compare to the Voice of the People?
Now, I don't know any of these answers. You've kept it from me. I have a feeling that a lot of the films are going to be expected. I don't think I'm going to be surprised by most of them.
We had a lot of films that just had 1 vote each, and the way it's actually turned out is that all of the top 5 are the ones that had 2 votes or more.
Yeah.
So it's worked out quite well. The number 5, people's favourite or best Christmas film is actually Gremlins.
Wow. Oh my God. No, I am surprised actually. I am very surprised.
Yeah.
Wow.
Albeit only 2 votes, but like I said, it worked out that way.
Yeah.
That's in the 5th spot.
Okay.
We have a joint 4th place.
2
films that have appeared on our lists: Home Alone,
Yeah.
and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, not surprised to see them.
One choice of yours, one choice of mine.
Yeah, that's good.
3rd place, funnily enough, was both of our 3rd place choice as well. The Grinch
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And another joint second place
Oh.
with 5 votes each is Love Actually.
Oh.
So they agreed with my number 1 in the number 2 spot. The other joint second was your number 1, which is It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We're on the same wavelength as our listeners. That's nice to know.
Yeah. Yeah. The number 1 Christmas film with over double the amount of votes than the next one down is Elf.
Wow.
10 votes. I should say we had 41 votes altogether.
Yeah.
So a whole quarter of you basically said Elf
Wow.
was your number 1 favourite Christmas film. Honourable mentions: Home Alone 2, Muppets Christmas Carol, Scrooge, Polar Express, White Christmas, The Santa Claus, Jingle All the Way, Klaus, and 1 vote for Die Hard.
1 vote for Die Hard. Wow.
One
I'm
vote.
very, very pleased that Die Hard did not make number 1.
Yeah, there's one thing to consider it a Christmas film, but then to consider it as
The
the
Christmas
best
film.
Christmas film is
Yeah.
probably a whole different ballgame.
Well, I have to admit, I really enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Hearing what listeners have got to say about their favourites is really interesting. I really enjoy it. So I think that was something that we'll try again with other episodes because we love to hear from you.
Thank you, everyone who voted. Sorry, we were a bit pushy.
Yeah, we only gave you a day. Sorry, we'll give you more time next time.
Yeah.
So Matt,
hmm
what are you recommending this week?
A film that I've managed to keep very quiet about up
Oh,
until this point, and
okay.
I cannot stress it enough, people, and you, Mary,
Okay.
watch this film. Last year there was a very small British film called Anna and the Apocalypse
Oh, yeah.
that came out. This is a Christmas film.
Yes.
Yes. It is a zombie film. It is a comedy, and it is a musical. Yes, it's a Christmas zombie comedy musical film.
Wow.
It's kind of genius because it just feels so right when you're watching it. It's a very sort of low budget film, and you do get a sense of that when you watch it, but it sort of transcends that. It's got all the sensibilities of a big budget film, but the fact that it feels so small and close to home in a way as well just gives it that whole extra dimension, and it's hilarious. It's just funny.
I did watch the trailer this morning and it looks absolutely bonkers.
Bonkers is the word. But there's moments in there that are genuinely, very sad as well. It hits every sort of genre mark that you could think of, and it just works.
I'll have to look out for that one.
It just does. Recommend to anybody. Anna and the Apocalypse.
Okay. My recommended film, keeping with the theme of Christmas, is the 1970 musical version of Scrooge with Albert Finney, who sadly passed earlier this year. So it's the first Christmas that he's not been here, which is, I always find it a little touching if somebody was in the film has kind of passed. And he's a very fun Scrooge to watch. It's a bit different. It's like a BBC stage play in a way. It's really funny. The way it's been set up, it's different, and obviously it's got music in it. It reminds me of Oliver.
Yeah, Dickensian
Yeah,
setting.
it reminds me of that. Albert Finney was only, I think he was about 35 when he played Scrooge, so he's playing an old man when he's actually, in the prime of his life, and that in itself is interesting as well. And I would recommend that one because it's an interesting take. It's got Alec Guinness in it as well, playing Marley.
Yeah.
It's got a few memorable faces in it, so it is worth checking out. So that's mine for this week. What's the next film you're going to watch, Matt?
I might try and pick up where I left off in terms of Christmas films. So Miracle on 34th Street and White Christmas I promised I'd watch.
Yes, that's a good idea.
But I might also be watching Cats or Star Wars. Probably not Cats.
Probably not Cats. I won't be watching it. My next film to watch is going to be in keeping with my Christmas calendar. I've watched the Santa Claus and the Santa Claus 2, so I'm watching the Santa Claus 3 next, and I'm going to do some Christmas present wrapping whilst I watch it, I think.
Yeah, I watched The Apprentice while doing mine.
Slightly different.
Not very festive.
I have booked my tickets for Star Wars. I'm seeing it next Sunday morning with my husband and my sister. My sister's ecstatic about it, which I'm quite surprised about because I'm not that excited, and she thinks I'm weird because I'm not excited. But she's extremely excitable, which is weird.
I think it will feel momentous. when you're watching
Yeah,
it,
maybe.
with it being the end of this saga.
I'm more excited about Little Women, which is strange. I'm usually I'm a big Star Wars fan, but I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I'm all Star Warsed out. I don't know.
But you don't really have a choice because you know what's coming up next week?
Star Wars week.
Star Wars week. Now you may be thinking that's a bit odd. Surely the year ends with Christmas, and we thought, well, no, because by the time this episode goes out,
You'll only have a week.
yeah.
And Star Wars actually comes out next week, so we're keeping with the main box office of the week, and we are doing our Star Wars week. So we've got some ideas for some survey questions for you. So we're going to be putting those votes out to you to listen to, and we will be talking all things Star Wars next week.
Yes, we'll try.
We'll try. So Matt, where can they find us?
Well, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube as CineChat Podcast. We're on Instagram at CineChat_official. On Twitter, we're at CineChatPod. You're probably already listening on Spotify, iTunes, or Spreaker. And our email address is
cinechatofficial@gmail.com.
I think that's the smoothest that's ever gone.
Yeah. And I remembered the email address this week.
Absolutely.
I know.
Yeah.
Impressive.
It must be settling in.
It might be because I wrote it down, but there you go.
That's just cheating, isn't it?
Okay, so it's bye from me.
And goodbye from me. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.